Alright, in this video I'll be talking about the project structure for comparison between WCF and GRPC performance. The short summary is GRPC works significantly better than WCF, so if you're not interested in these projects and just want the results, GRPC is definitely better. The reason for these videos is that previously I used .NET Framework and I used WCF for inter-process communication, and it seems with regular .NET that Microsoft is working on, they don't want to support WCF anymore, and they are moving everything to gRPC. And both servers and clients are designed with identical UI, exactly same buttons and similar functionality. So the WCF server is designed as UI with just two buttons, start, stop, and it shows statistics for how many requests per second it's handling. The actual service is designed in a very simple way. There is a ping function and there is a ping2 function. It has implementation, which basically triggers an event here on every ping2. And when these events are being triggered, we just count the statistics, and in a timer, which gets executed every second, we simply show these statistics in the labels. Exactly the same concept for the gRPC server. Just the only difference is that it's designed with a proto file which generates some kind of like service based classes, I guess, and then there is this implementation for that, and the implementation does exactly the same. It triggers an event to count, and that's the way to start the server. In this specific case, I'm not using ASP.NET, it's a WinForms application, so I had to bring ASP.NET as a NuGet package, and that's how it gets started. And specifically this line, 3 lines, is to make sure that this service can actually run on HTTP. If you don't include these 3 lines, it will only work on HTTPS, and we are testing with just HTTP. And same idea, the service just starts, and then here you can stop it, and then the statistics is shown on screen inside the form. Now, WCF client was designed basically, first the WCF reference was added by literally clicking add service reference while the server was running, WCF server was running in debug mode. Then it brought this reference and the code was written afterwards. And there is a simple button to test, which basically just says, hey, this is my client, this is the ping, and then it shows the time. If there are errors, it just shows error messages. And then there is a more complicated way to run stress test with number of tasks or number of threads, whatever you want to select for stress testing. And all it does is really just reads parameters and starts all the tasks or threads, and then just waits for it to finish. In case of tasks, it's actually just a very simple function call. In case of threads, we are just literally waiting for everything to finish. And the gRPC client was designed in a similar way. It's just that first I had to bring the proto file. It has a protobuf compiler action. NuGet packages had to be added properly, and then after that all of the functionality had to be written, in which case the first ping is basically just this client ping, and then after that the stress test follows exactly the same logic that we read the parameters, we start all the threads. It's literally exactly the same code copy pasted, just with minor modifications for .NET, where null data types need to have question marks, and that's it. Exactly the same UI, exactly the same functionality. Now, the interesting thing about the difference between those is that it seems like the build, if you look at the build for each project, WCF definitely has much more interesting build because it just has a single executable and there are literally no prerequisites. So if I actually run it, it just runs. There are no DLLs sitting here. And exactly the same with the client. If I just run the client, it's a single executable, doesn't need anything, and it just runs, which is really great. Now, unfortunately, the gRPC does not really go exactly the same logic. there is a bunch of DLLs next to our executable. So this is an executable, this is one DLL, another DLL, and so on. So if you are building an installer, there is more to deploy. But other than that, it also just runs exactly the same. And same for the client, it has a bunch of other DLLs. The difference in communication is pretty large. In short, if you put a gRPC server on a remote server, being located somewhere with some reasonable latency, you will notice that gRPC communicates at approximately the same latency as if you were pinging the server, while WCF unfortunately communicates at a much longer latency. We'll get to that in the next video.